and welcome back to my channel. This is the second of two videos that I've made about my time at the helm of We the Humanities, and in it I share some tweets that I received about innovative forms of assessment for learning. There were so many fantastic suggestions and I'm definitely going to be employing them in my upcoming teaching this academic year. I began the discussion by tweeting the following question: what was your favourite form of assessment ever? Very simple, and a lot of people got involved about forms of assessment that they had undertaken as a student or forms of assessment that they had set as a teacher. A couple of really interesting suggestions came in. Stephen, for example, suggested setting 1% reading tests every week to make sure that your students come prepared. This is something that I'm a big fan of in language teaching, setting kind of 1% vocabulary tests every week to stop students cramming right at the end of semester. Ellie suggested writing events that have been studied as a newspaper report, which I think is a great idea in terms of transferable skills and getting students to engage in other forms of writing other than just essays. In terms of foreign language teaching, Hannah suggested getting students to write a Wikipedia page in a foreign language and then observing and assessing the changes that other people make. P.A. Schroger also suggested getting students to submit some potential questions for the upcoming examination, which is a really good way of seeing what students found interesting and what students identified as important out of a course, and then using that again to reflect back on your own teaching and assess whether you're communicating the most important information clearly and making sure the students understand the take-home points. By far, however, the most popular form of kind of innovative assessment which came out of this discussion were forms of assessment that are actually based on what we all do as academics. So things like having a poster presentation, giving out prizes for the best poster, running mini conferences, or actually incorporating a respondent into an in-class presentation. So for example, Sophie suggested doing an end-of-term mini conference where each of your students gives a 5-minute paper. Amy and Jessica both suggested using a respondent when you're offering a presentation, which sounds like a very good way of kind of recapping all the information that a student presents, making sure all the students are engaged in the presentation, and also getting the students used to giving feedback, which they can then use in all types of other professions. A few people did flag that this can be a difficult one, especially with first years, because students get nervous about critiquing their friends. It's important to make sure that the respondent is not so much reflecting back on the presentation, but drawing out of the presentation the type of questions that it raises for further discussion. Both Sarah and Kath built upon the idea of a mini conference and actually talked about developing full-blown conferences as part of university assessment. So for these conferences, the students submit abstracts, the lecturers then organise the student papers into panels, a kind of senior member of staff comes and gives an opening address at the conference, and there's catering, name badges, handouts, just like an ordinary conference that any academic would attend. And this seems to me a really wonderful form of assessment, because not only is it getting students kind of prepared for graduate life if they are interested in doing it, but it teaches them a lot about presenting and attending conferences, which is not exclusive to academia. Becoming confident in getting up and pitching your ideas in a conference environment as opposed to just a classroom, I think, is a really essential skill. These were just some of the great suggestions that came out of the discussion about forms of assessment for learning. If you have any other suggestions that I haven't mentioned today or that weren't mentioned in the We the Humanities discussion, please feel free to pop them in the info bar below. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to go back and watch the first video that I made about curating We the Humanities, click on the link here. Thanks for watching this video, and bye for now.